Hello everyone, my name is Amara Russell. My chosen novel is Another Suburban Romance by Alan Moore. Its creative team the artwork was done by Juan Jose Rip. The sequential adaptation was Anthony Johnston. The cover color was by Nimbus Studios. The interior color was by Juan Rodriguez. Editor-in-chief is William Christensen. Creative director is Mark Seifert. Managing editor is James Kahoric. And the director of events is David Marks. Again, my chosen novel is Another Suburban Romance by Alan Moore. And the publisher is Avatar. So let's see. Here's what it looks like. Can you guys see that? There it is. So it has 61 pages. It is a genuine graphic novel. Act 1 ends on page 19 and Act 2 starts on page 22. Yes, it fits our model. The story belongs to the gangsters in the comic series, and the ultimate goal is to prove that gangsters never die. So the conflict in Act 2 does support the goal, I believe, according to the pictures, because they're trying to prove that, you know, gangsters don't ever die. And so, of course, towards the end, the main character, he's still alive. I'm assuming he's the gangster. And the story, to me, and maybe because I'm not a big comic fan, but the story to me did not have a solid arc because it was confusing. It did have a clear beginning. Let me show you. In the beginning, it started out with the main character sitting in a chair reading this book. And his girlfriend, Judy, is trying to find something on the TV screen. However, it says Judy switched off the TV, but the picture stayed there. And so he's just there chilling on the couch, doing his thing, reading, completely ignoring her. And had a thought about that, but she threw up her hands and went in the restroom to die, is what it says. So she's in the restroom dying because she's frustrated, tired of dealing with the TV. And he's just sitting there chilling. And so I guess he gets frustrated and decides that he's going to leave. And he goes roaming around the neighborhood, and he ends up at a movie theater, and the movie theater catches on fire. Confusing. Completely did not understand that. So this is the fire, and I have to say the illustrations in this book are phenomenal. So hats off to the artist that did the illustrations, Mr. Juan Jose. He did an amazing job. And if I have to say so myself, that's what captured my attention and kept my attention throughout the comics was the graphics, because they were really, really good. So it does have a clear beginning, yet the middle and the end gets very confusing. The resolution is not satisfactory because it's hard to understand what's going on. The resolution as far as the artwork is great, but as far as overall, it was just really hard for me to determine what was really going on in this story. Not only that, you know, they start out at the house, and then he goes throughout the world or throughout the neighborhood traveling. And as it's a gangster comic, but a lot of the dialogue is like poetry. So that to me, again, was confusing because it's supposed to be this hardcore comic, but then it's poetry and rhymes for the dialogue. None of the characters to me had a solid character arc because the main characters change in Act 2. Like I said, in the beginning, they started out at home in their living room, just, you know, chilling on a Saturday, I guess. And then in Act 2 is where things change and they turn into this like gangster type dude and this adulterous woman. She kind of reminded me of the lady, but on a more evil side in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. She was, you know, very seductress, but she was more on the evil side. So this is where Act 1 ends and Act 2 begins. And if you can see here, I'm going to show you in just a second. This is what I mean, how she turns into like that seductress character. So this is the girl that was in the beginning in the living room messing with the TV, and that's him. And so they turn into like this gangster like couple, and I'm assuming they're trying to save the world, but it's all confusing. The transitions are conflicting and hard for the reader to follow along with. As far as the McCloud ideas, I believe the transitions in the panels, like before the acts, they flow pretty well. But when you get off into like Act 1 and Act 2, that's when the transitions are completely like throwing you off. You have no idea. Like, I didn't really understand why the place caught on fire. There was no explanation as to who did it and why they did it. And like I said, I guess the ultimate goal is just to prove that gangsters never die. So no matter how they are going to die, it's just to prove that they don't. I don't believe that it works effectively because it was just hard to follow. So therefore, it did not have an effective directional flow, just my opinion. The art is the only thing that pulls the reader through. Like I said, the artwork in here is phenomenal. Check it out. So let's just flip through a few pages just so you can see. Man, I wish I could draw like that. I wish I could draw, period. This is awesome artwork. I love the graphics. And so, let's see. Okay, so that's enough of the graphics for now. Would I recommend this? I would recommend this comic to those that like this kind of stuff. But as far as my friends, no. Because if I didn't enjoy it, I know they wouldn't unless they're into comics. It just completely was very conflicting. And even after reading this, I went to read the reviews because I wanted to see what Alan Moore's fans thought. Maybe it was just me because I'm not really into comics. But the reviews on this were horrible. They did not give him credit. And these were some of his followers. They were all saying that this was a waste of time and money. And this was the worst comic that he's ever done. So, hey, I know my comics. But, let's see. So to that note, no, I would not recommend this to my friends. And I don't think I would be in a comic store and be like, oh, I want that one. Not at all. But I would be in a comic store if I was bored and maybe waiting on somebody, flipping through the pages. I would get caught up with the graphics. So you got me there. Amazing artwork. I know I keep saying that, but that's really the only highlight that I get from this. So any other observations? The artwork? No other observations on my end. The only thing that really stuck out was just the fact how it's supposed to be like all this hardcore. As you can see, they're killing people and slicing them up and all that. But then the dialogue is poetry. It was like it started rhyming and rapping, and I was just like, are they rapping? But that was an observation. A fun fact, well, as we all know, if you're familiar with Alan Moore, he does really have some good work out there. And if you really want something good and a good comic of his, I would try. He actually has a comic that is titled Gangsters Never Die. So I would suggest reading that one because that might actually be a really, really good one that will hold your interest and maybe possibly make you want to follow him and get more of his work. But other than that, you guys, that's it. Another suburban romance. Check it out if you're into that kind of stuff. And if anything, just check it out for the artwork. If you're like me and you're really into art and illustrations, I think you would enjoy that. So there you have it. That is my analysis of my comic book, Another Suburban Romance. Enjoy. Thank you for watching.